Pat's pals, Foxborough friends, what's up, everybody? Welcome to an impromptu sunny Wednesday afternoon edition of Fitzy and Friends. Nick Stevens, aka your old pal Fitzy here, joining you guys. Thank you for joining me across the wide world of our highly inappropriate and always infotastic socials. Whether you're watching on YouTube, we would love to have your subscription if you get a chance. YouTube.com/Fitzy01821. The Book of Face, my tweet. At FitzyGFY on the IG. Actually, you can't stream on the IG. That's what sucks. I don't get you, Zuckerberg. What's wrong with you, Zuckerberg? And everywhere else. On today's show, we're going to talk a little NFL over-unders. We're going to preview Celtics Nets, the play-in game of all play-in games tonight, Lake Show versus Warriors, and more with my buddy. You know him as the Lions fan from NFL Fan Therapy, Joel Walkowski, the Big Walkowski, from the upcoming show that we're actually going to be featuring here on my streams. My streams. Wow, that sounds like a really lame, backwoods social network. Come on, guys, grab your rod, a sustainable lunch, and join me on my streams. That's right. We're going to have a new basketball show twice weekly during the NBA playoffs right here on my streams. It's Joel's Untitled Basketball Show with the Big Walkowski and Toe. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? I hope you guys are excited for it. Let's get to some of the people joining us in the chat. What's up, Jose Arroyo? Cheers, Fitzy. I know. When do we ever do this on a Wednesday afternoon, right? It's a little untimed, unexpected happy hour action for you guys. I got one thing I want to show you guys first, real quick, before we get going, and I'll bring Joel and Toe in, and we're going to start talking some hoops. I found this video earlier, and it's just my absolute favorite thing. I saw this on Instagram earlier. It was the most random of things. You know, I was doing like everyone else does in the middle of the afternoon, just sort of like lazily scrolling through to see what's going on. And I find this video that at Pro Patriots Memes had shared, which was like a randomly discovered Super Bowl 49 reaction video. And let me tell you, for years, I just lived off those. I'm sure you guys have watched them. People freaking out, running around the house like you've seen the Seahawks fans in utter despair as they didn't hand it off to beast mode, and Lockett got blown up by Malcolm Butler. Spoiler alert, greatest play in Super Bowl history. And then, of course, you've seen ones of Pats fans freaking out because we were on death's doorstep. We were like in the outhouse, and then all of a sudden we were jettisoned to the penthouse. We were suddenly shuttled, magically teleported to the Playboy Mansion. So this one popped up earlier today, and I just wanted to share it with you guys real quick before we get the show rolling. Take a look.
Boy, the last time we called a Super Bowl, remember?
On the left. Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line.
It's the stupidest little thing I've ever seen in my life, but it's 11 seconds that basically says that dog was all of us. Anyway, all right, let's bring in our special guest today, you guys, coming to you from the City of Champions, deep within the 5 boroughs, representing from the BK. I am so pumped and jacked to have him back on the show and a part of our burgeoning little network of degenerates. I'm more excited than a shirtless Pete Carroll, more excited than a 40-year-old who got vaccinated and a stimmy before St. Patrick's Day. I'm more excited than a Lions fan that sees their team win 3 games in a season. Here he is, the Big Walkowski himself, Joel Walkowski. What up, Joel?
3 games in a season? You're telling me we hit the over? All right, baby. Good to be here. Fitzy, what's up? What are mass holes? I'm coming in from New York, but I'm a Detroiter. It's a weird mix.
We're a little bit of everywhere. See, that's the thing. Like, I'm in the heart of it all, in the Metro West of Boston, born and raised, proud on the South Shore. But you can be anywhere. That's the whole thing. Like, you know, being a Pats fan, being a Boston sports fan, I know it's centralized to people mostly believe that it's in Boston. And by the way, don't ever call it Beantown like the Los Angeles Chargers did on their social feed last week. But these people can be anywhere. Like we got our guy. Here we go, Pat McSweeney. I'm not sure where Pat McSweeney's checking in from. Pat, where are you at? He just his first comment via Facebook right there, Joel, is everything. It's just Kemba Walker with a question mark.
Yeah, Allen Iverson was the answer, and Kemba is the question mark.
That's his new nickname. We've got it right there. We've got it. Let's also bring to the party the co-host, the Cole host. Ooh, did you see what I did there? I spoke so quickly. I went to say Joel and co-host, and I said co-host. ladies and gentlemen, the co-host of your show, your producer and voice of choice, the actual mind behind the matter, the one and only Mr. Let me actually give him a proper. Mr. Thomas Greer joins the show, a.k.a. Toe in Queens. What up, Toe?
I'm actually coming to you from the actual city of champions, Los Angeles. But thank you. I appreciate the introduction.
Okay, first of all, my man Toe, I have him on because I give takes, I give opinions, and a lot of the audience doesn't agree, so I might as well have someone on air who doesn't agree with me. Toe, he's marrying well. He's out there in his beautiful lady's mansion, just lounging it up, and he's coming in troll heavy right away.
I cannot complain. Palm trees.
I thought you might have been out of doors somewhere in Queens or in one of the outer boroughs. I had no idea that you found a sugar mama and you were coming to us from the City of Angels. That's a beautiful way to live, my friend.
I try my best. I mean,
this man is crazy. He travels the world training karate Olympians. He's rubbing elbows with George St. Pierre. This man is a lethal weapon himself, and that's why I got him here, to keep me in check, and it's my digital bodyguard.
somebody's got to keep the show going.
Right. Yeah. Lord knows I haven't figured out a way to over the course of the time that we've been doing this nonsense parade. Okay, so first, real quick, I want to ask you guys before we start talking hoops. Anyone have any feelings on hockey? For example, our pal, the Cheez-It Man, says, "Hey, Fitzy, I'm excited for tonight's Bruins game. Calling a hat trick tonight for the Bruins." Now, I'm not sure exactly how a team can get a hat trick. If anyone can explain that to me, I thought I'm not the biggest hockey guy in the world, more of a football guy who dabbles in other professional sports. But isn't a hat trick to be scored by an individual?
Goals.
Yeah, it's three goals by an individual player.
Yeah,
One per, you know the rules. It's one by one. Yeah. Everyone knows the rules. One person, 3 goals, right?
And if you do that in Boston, I'm sure a lot of people have some pink Red Sox hats they just want to get rid of. If I went with my girl, I would just throw hers onto the ice immediately.
Yeah, a hat trick in Boston is getting into a fight over a spilled Bud Light by the door of a bar and keeping your hat on when you throw the first punch. That's a hat trick in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, in Detroit, we throw an octopus on the ice for a hat trick, and that's the only lean protein that's sold in Detroit area grocery stores. Very
a dead
people.
Octopus?
Yeah, I mean, not a live one. You'd have to get a saltwater tank, get that through security. That's a whole to-do.
By the way, one of my favorite expressions in the whole world is I love old-fashioned expressions like, "Oh, man, I got to tell you, it's a whole rigmarole," or like, "Oh, this is a whole to-do." I don't know the etymology of them. I don't know why they started, where they came from. All I know is I'm here, I'm present, and appreciative of every single one. And by the way, Cheez-It Man wants us to know, bro, it's going to be one person. I'm just not sure who it's going to be. I say Taylor Hall. Are you guys hockey guys at all?
I'm not a Boston hockey guy. I know like the Rangers and Islanders. I don't know anything about Bruins though.
It's being a Detroit fan, the greatest heartbreak in like maybe American sports history happened in Detroit right when the Red Wings won their first cup in '97. First ended a 40-year drought. What happened was the designated driver, he drank at the after party, and the best player on the team, Vladimir Konstantinov, was paralyzed. Broke my heart. I didn't come back to the sport, and I really dragged on the show with that story.
No, I was that was a perky little anecdote right there, which will segue perfectly into having your heart broken and feeling paralyzed emotionally. Saturday night, the Celtics, who won their play-in game last night, 118-100 against the Wizards. And I've been doing basketball coverage recently for WEEI, so I've had to get further invested. Not just learning said beautiful game more and more, but rather just like following the team, learning exactly why they've been so dysfunctional at times and then productive at others. And it really, like, this team is going to live and die with as far as Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum will carry them. They scored 118 last night. Walker and Tatum were responsible for 79 of the 118. So they scored 2/3 of all their points. Tatum was otherworldly. That was his third 50-point-plus game. He's only one 50-point-plus game behind Larry Bird for all time on the Celtics. I think that's probably pretty achievable. It was an otherworldly effort, but That's what they're going to have to do every night just to stay competitive or not get blown off the Barclays or TD Garden floor against maybe the most offensively proficient team in basketball history. Sidebar to all this, these teams fucking hate each other, even though they profess that it's nothing but love. I'd like to burn some sage around that and say, fuck it, they hate each other.
Some Kyrie sage.
Well, we just passed legalization in New York State, so it's no longer sage. They're free to practice their religion. And I know it's a tough series. And I know that Tatum, I love that dude. I think he's the closest thing to Kobe since Kobe. And can the Celtics pull off the upset? I think that's a tall order, especially with Jaylen Brown out, who you would want to give Durant troubles. But let me ask you this. The Celtics, it's a great franchise. There's 16 banners in the rafters. Every time you go toe-to-toe with 17. I'm sorry. I don't count the 2008 one because I'm dumb as hell.
Yeah, no, they're 17 in, and it's fascinating. Like, I'm curious if you guys think like maybe one of the worst things that could have. Some people like there's a debate that goes on in Boston. Like, is the best thing or the worst thing? Not the whole Kyrie implosion. I still wish they kind of held on to IT, but I don't think he would have been able to leg it out at the level he did a couple of years ago. Like, when he single-handedly beat the Wizards in that epic conference semis. I just wonder if, like, when Kyrie and Hayward were out a couple of years ago and this team went to the finals in the second year of Jaylen Brown, the first of Tatum, they got a taste of so much more success than they could have expected early on. Did that falsely raise the bar of expectations for both them and the fans as well? Because no matter what this team does, unless it's like, and here comes banner number 18. Paul Pierce is having girls twerk on IG Live to celebrate it. Like, people are losing their minds. Duck boats. Let's go, Boston. People shit all over this team. And it's insane to me because, like, they're so young. There's still so much hope and potential.
And it's so good, too. Like, the foundation is there. Like, if you were to ask me, Joel, you can start a team with any asset in the NBA. I'm picking those forwards in Celtic green. And here's the thing. You guys overachieved to get to a Game 7 of an Eastern Conference Finals shorthanded. But from there, I think it was Ainge who rested on his laurels by not really – who got them there? Tatum and Brown. Rather than build around them, they're forcing in Kemba Walker. And, like, what I want to see is Jason Tatum, the rarest offensive asset to come into the league since Kevin Durant, be given the James Harden usage rate. Throw him the keys and, like, build the roster around that man. And, like, if we're going to talk about Ainge, how about the renaissance of the big man? Last year we saw Embiid, Jokic, Bam Adebayo. All these bigs are redefining success in this league. And then look at the bigs who are playing there in Boston. They just didn't address the position. They could have gotten Andre Drummond for a second, and they're
Nikola Vucevic. I was saying this to you.
I mean,
got him.
I know. Instead, we got Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier in a side order of COVID. Like Vucevic goes to Chicago, kills us when we play him, and banged down, like, took down 8 boards and 22 a night, which would have looked perfect here. And the Celtics have some interesting bigs with Mr. Kardashian and the Time Lord, who's athletic as all get out, but now he's got turf toe. I don't know how the hell you get turf toe when you play on a hardwood floor, but anyway, I'll save that for open mic night.
Even every time you run through Kemba, you can't play fast, you can't play athletic, you can't play baseball. And since Jaylen Brown's who's going to guard Durant or Harden, I mean, you got to throw Smart at Harden, don't you? That's
the question right here, guys. Joel, tell me. All right, now you're on. Thanks for tuning in to an impromptu Wednesday afternoon. Fitzy and Friends. Your old pal Nick Fitzy Stevens here, alongside the Big Walkowski himself, Joel Walkowski. And, of course, his sidekick / producer / the check man. That's right. It's the toe man in L.A., Thomas Greer. All right, so here's the question right now, guys. B Smooth Gaming wants to know, okay, my question is, since Jaylen Brown's out, who will guard Durant or Harden? First of all, it'd be impossible for one man to guard 2 people because the Celtics can't use 2 men to guard a single guy, especially the way the Nets were able to point up against him this year. You have options, like you said, Smart, Aaron Nesmith, who made a nice block last night. I think it was on Ish Smith. Could be Romeo Langford. I doubt it. Please don't let it be Semi Ojeleye. What would you do to try to stop the Nets from scoring 125 in the third quarter?
I would tell Blake Griffin a comedy show is happening very near the arena. I mean, props to Blake. Blake is actually funny, which I wouldn't give. You gotta throw Smart at Harden, and like just watching this Celtics team, doesn't Neesmith have to be on the floor? That dude has to play 30 minutes, get 12 to 13 shots, and maybe throw him at Durant just because he has the length to give him troubles. He's kind of a similar build, and like, is he the on-ball defender to stop Kevin Durant? No, because that person doesn't exist.
Yeah, you got to guard him by committee. Nobody's gonna stop him. Just hope to slow him down. Harden, I think they can give him a hard time forcing him to advocate to somebody else. He's gonna have to pass the ball, obviously, but I think guarding Harden with Smart is definitely the best choice that they can make.
But didn't Smart get a little banged up last night too? Like I know he rolled an ankle.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, Rob Williams. So Time Lord has turf toe. Smart rolled his ankle last night as well. I was thinking there's a Shake Shack. Most people don't know. Any Celtics fans who haven't made it down to the BK, to the Borough of Kings, at the intersection of Flatbush and Atlantic, where I used to live, like a couple blocks away, right there outside is the rusted alien spaceship, aka the Barclays Center. Not exactly my favorite place to take in a game, but great place for pre-games with all the restaurants and bars. There's a Shake Shack right across the street from the Barclays. I say you dress up Marcus Smart like a giant bag of Shake Shack, and that'll distract Harden long enough that you have Naismith just bang on Harden all night long. And you tell Blake Griffin and everyone else, like, okay, and Kyrie, who's crazy. Is he going to go off? Do you think Kyrie, does he try too hard in this series? Because I think that's a fact. Like, he might try too hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to have the PR guys having bylines published that are really going to set off Kyrie's ego. I think that you get in Kyrie's head. I think it's an easy thing to do because there's plenty of space.
No doubt. I want to say, yeah, of course I'm wearing green because I'm a cliche and a scally cap. I'd love to say that because the Celtics played the way they did last night, though they lost 10 of their last 15 heading in. That's why everyone wrote them off last night, because the Wizards had the most wins in the NBA since April 7th, and the Celtics were one of the worst teams over the last month and a half. And then Tatum balls out. I'll give them a puncher's chance in the first game, and if they can win the first game, maybe they can go 6. I see it Nets in 5, although I do think the Celtics, in a series that's reminiscent of the last series Kyrie played with them, where they won the first game against Milwaukee, then they just got their doors blown off. I think they have a chance Saturday night. Otherwise, Nets in 5.
I'm going to go 6. Historically speaking, Brad Stevens teams tend to overperform when they got a couple people out in their rotation, and he's playing using his chess pieces a little bit more with a little more specialization. But let me ask you this. We know that great Celtics-Hawks duel, 88, I think it was. Hawks went down, but Dominique went off. Mm-hmm. Couldn't this be Jason Tatum playing Dominique? I think he's scoring 40 a game. I think he's stealing a couple. And I think even though the Celtics might not win, I think the win for Celtics fans is seeing Tatum show himself as the best player in this series.
Go on. I like so you're saying like the emotional win, which has become an operative phrase around here since we stopped winning championships a couple of years ago and Cam Newton showed out in a couple of losses last year. So the emotional win is, let's say the Nets win 4-2, but Jason Tatum balls out so bad, like he's just such a bad man in the series, that it convinces Danny Ainge to quit effing around and just like, this is the fulcrum. This is the focal point of my team. I'm going to build around him. It's going to be Mamba-style ball for him going forward. And so Celtics fans are heartened by his effort, entertained by the fact that he's basically like that gif of Jon Snow holding his sword out with the 500 guys on horseback coming at him in Game of Thrones. I'll take that. I'd love for them to win the series. I'd sign up for that yesterday, Toe.
I'm going Nets in 5 as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's too much talent.
It's the evolution. It's the passing of the baton. There's two guys who are at the intersection of physical ability and an amazing skill set. It's Durant, it's Harden, and there's no one across the landscape as positioned to take it on as Jason Tatum. The only thing that's stopping him is the franchise's moves to just be a team rather than the Jason Tatum show.
Yeah, I would love to see it because last night in particular, this one wasn't in overtime. Those other two games, the 51-pointer and the 63-pointer, those were overtime efforts against like shitty to inferior basketball teams. Whereas last night, like they needed to win, and he decided when they were down 2 at the half, like I got you guys, get on my back, and I'll take you to the playoffs. And you know what? I'm gonna bring you to Brooklyn, and and we're gonna go take on Kyrie, and we're gonna give him the business.
And it's not just him getting hot. He's scoring like when he didn't get the foul call, he swished that ugliest jumper release of all time. Then you see him cutting through the lanes, finishing alley-oops. That dude did everything you want to see on offense, yet Kemba's still going to get 25 shots. Come on.
I know. But as Kemba goes, kind of so the team goes too. Here's a random one before we get into before we talk a little bit about tonight's the Lake Show Warriors game. Davis Zalan says, hey, what do you think of Porzingis? Do you think Dallas could beat the Clippers? P.S. Greetings from Latvia.
What's up, Latvia?
Wow.
I have some friends in Latvia. What's going on, Latvia?
Nice. This could be my favorite random chat. I love it when it's like, hey, what's up, Fitzy? Pats fans in Germany or like the UK Patriots will watch some live streams when we're talking football, but like I have never had a basketball centric check-in from Latvia. This was a beautiful day. All right, Dallas Clippers in the first round. What say you guys?
I think it's a Clippers romp. I think they've had this. I think this is the matchup they wanted. I think they've been waiting for it, and I think the Clippers are going to win the championship, actually.
Really? Hot take.
Yeah. I mean, look at their end-of-game defense. There's Kawhi, Paul George, and Rondo out there. Like, it's going to be pretty hard to get buckets against that. And, like, Porzingis, he's great, but no 7'3" guy has ever stayed healthy. Apologies to Rick Smits.
The family of Rick Smits would like a word with you after the show. I think people are sleeping on the Clippers big time too. Because look at, I love the Suns as much as the next guy who wants to watch a team just like shoot majestically and watch the Chris Paul and Devin Booker show. But I think people have just been sleeping on the idea that like the Clippers have built an offensively proficient, defensively sound team. And they've shaken free from Doc Rivers. Not that Doc hasn't done a great job in Philadelphia. Sometimes someone fits in better somewhere else, and you perform better when you don't have Dad Lord Novia barking at you all the time. The Clippers have a little bit of everything right now, and all the other teams in the Western Conference are flawed. The big injuries that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. I don't even know. And who knows if the Lakers, if the winner of tonight's game, let alone the Lakers, are going to be healthy enough to make a run. Speaking of which, is this the greatest pre-round one or round one matchup of all time? 10 o'clock tonight, Warriors versus Lakers. Steph's good for at least 45 before he takes his sweatpants off. How do you see it shaking out?
Wow, Joel disagrees with this. He disagrees with that.
Yeah,
I did some digging, and Steph Curry's lowest points per game against any defender in the NBA is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. 20 a game.
Bless you.
One word, he gets me. I don't know. I think the Lakers are going to destroy them, and I'm a Suns fan this postseason. I think the Lakers are about to go on a roll and just punch the Suns in the mouth. They'll be in the second round before we even blink, and I just think it's a terrible matchup for the Warriors. The only thing I hate is that everyone agrees about how bad the matchup is for the Warriors.
If Steph scores 50, they have a chance. Like, I agree with 50. Like, he's going to have to score 40, 50 points for them to probably win the game, and it's very possible he's been doing it, like, the past few weeks. It depends who his committee is giving him help, though, scoring those extra points.
You know who it's going to have to be? It's going to have to be, like, if it's Kemba has to show up and support Tatum for them to have a fighting chance because he can't do it all by himself, but he wants to die nobly trying on the court, especially against an offensive juggernaut like the Metropolitans, it's going to have to be Wiggins, who averaged, I think, like 21 points and shot 49.5% the last 2 months of the season.
Yeah, he's been on fire.
Yeah, no, he's been great. It's just that there's like with the Celtics, like if they're lucky, maybe Fournier can chip in like a couple of big threes one night. Who's that other somebody that can maybe, that's good for 15 points when they need it most? Like, let's say LeBron's ankle is still bothering him a little bit. AD is going to feed. After, how much of a factor is Drummond going to be? Is there anyone else on the Warriors roster, Joel, that can give them a fighting chance tonight? Because I want to stay, I want to have good beers at 10:30 at night. I want to stay up for this game and get excited for a game that at least on marquee attraction looks like a hell of a reason to stay up at 10 o'clock tonight and watch basketball.
And I mean, Toscano Anderson's been all right. Poole's been great. Wiggins is playing the best basketball of his career. But I think it's actually going to come down to the X's and O's, right? The first time the Lakers go big and put out like a lineup with Drummond and Davis in it, if the Warriors are able to stretch the floor and get those guys out of there, I think they have a chance. If the big lineup holds, if the shots don't fall, I don't think the Warriors have like a long-term answer against those bigs.
All right, so the line for tonight's game, it opened at -4.5. It's now Lakers 5.5. Joel, as the former resident degenerate of the Props Network and soon to be in the Townie News, Townie Sports, Fitzy GFY-averse, you're going to make all of us a lot of money this fall in football. But let's start greasing the wheels with some basketball bets right now. Who do you you telling me I should take Lakers and?
I like the Lakers in the points here. I think they've been resting for this game. I think you're going to see Anthony Davis protecting the rim. And you know what? If the Warriors shoot 40% from three, maybe they'll get it. But they're playing math ball. And this Lakers team, the roster is actually better than last year's championship roster, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. See, I'm with you, Phil. I'm with you all the way. Like, yeah, this is a big old. I know, like,
no,
I hate that. I know money's king and everyone wants it. That's why they call it money. And LeBron and AD in the playoffs should be money. But like, who doesn't want to like? I don't want to like bet on the Lake. First of all, I'm from Boston. Like betting on the Lakers is like kissing your sister. You only do it if you absolutely have to. But on top of it all, like. I don't want to root against. Steph is like the most easy to root for guy that has never worn my home team's uniforms in my life. I mean, like, how do you not just root for Steph Curry no matter when you see him and who he's playing against?
Absolutely, but you are a Red Sox fan. I am a Detroit Lions fan, and sometimes there's a franchise, a fan base that only exists so that the other shoe can drop. And I'm talking about the 2 seed, the Phoenix Suns. They await the winner of this game. That fan base, my wife's whole family is in Phoenix. I'm seeing how this plays out. I'm bought into this team.
Wow.
And they're getting smacked. They're going to lose to a Lakers team that Lakers fans don't really care about. And it's going to be brutal.
Yeah, Joel, Toe, do me a favor. Whenever Joel does the show, on Joel's Untitled Basketball Show, whenever he starts trying to emotionally hedge his bets like this, call him out on that bullshit, please.
We'll do. No, duly noted.
Thank you very much. I'll have Cassandra put that in the minutes. Thank you very much.
I'm a
all right. So I see also like you wanted to whip out a couple of Warriors Lakers player props.
That's actually my man Toe. He's got a case for him. So Toe, where's the money tonight? The part of what we do here is I've been gambling for years. Toe started gambling, and he did the worst thing a gambler can do at the start of their career. He won.
Win.
Listen
I won.
to you. Listen to you.
This kid starts off hitting 6-way parlays, and he thinks that's sustainable.
No, that's the equivalent of the Celtics going to the conference finals without anything.
I've learned.
You can't hit a 6-way parlay. No, it's not.
I've since learned. I'm no longer that guy.
Yeah, I know, but listen. But that's like, oh man, but that's like saying like, just because a radioactive spider bit me, I'm no longer Spider-Man. Like, sorry, it's in your system forever. Like, vampire bites you, you have a taste for night and the blood of others. I'm sorry, but that's it.
Sometimes I think about those wins. I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it anymore.
No, and then somebody comes by with the White Widow, and you're like, ooh, God, I want to chase that dragon tonight so bad. Oh, that's so good. Take it from a former fat kid who's never looked at a donut he didn't like in his lifetime. All right, so what do you got for props tonight?
All right, so I'm going with LeBron James over 25 points. LeBron under 9 assists and plus 10 boards. I think that's pretty solid. I think LeBron will definitely score 25. He's probably going to try to move the ball into the corners to shoot. Wesley Matthews, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, AD. For Anthony Davis, I have him over 20 points and under 10 rebounds. He's kind of a lazy rebounder. Like it's hurt me.
Andre Drummond's there. If you grab a rebound around Andre Drummond, that guy gets so mad. He's spent too much time on Moses Malone's basketball reference.
Yeah, Drummond and LeBron will have every board. And lastly, Stephen Curry plus 30, minus 8 assists. I don't think he's going to be passing the ball too much. If someone who's going to be passing the ball is going to be Draymond, I have him plus 6 points, rebounds, and assists.
Okay, that's especially on Draymond. That's rock solid too. He's going to have to do everything. He's just going to get murdered tonight by AD. But you know what? If there's anyone in the NBA who has even though obviously he's a very large man, who has that little guy who doesn't care about fighting the biggest guy in the bar attitude, it's Draymond. Yeah. Either that, or maybe he'll try one of those Steven Adams nut shots like he did that got him kicked out of the finals 5 years ago, which by the way was absolutely hilarious. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Somebody says that actually, is there a Percy Miller? This is something I know. Is there a Percy Miller on the Warriors roster?
Master P, right?
Yeah, Percy Miller is Master P and Lil Romeo. That's who Percy Miller is.
Okay, so I don't know. That shows you how much.
Wait, was it Little Romeo DeMar DeRozan's college teammate at USC?
They were high school teammates, and then they were college teammates.
Yeah. All right, cool.
But Percy Miller didn't play. He was on the bench. He didn't play.
Maybe they're just excited to watch DeMar and the Spurs tonight. We have the only person alive excited to watch Memphis and San Antonio.
Oh
segue.
My God. Yeah, which is a brilliant segue to the battle of cities that you visit by accident. Or unless you like barbecue, tacos, and unemployment issues. Of course, we're talking about the Spurs and the Grizz. So the Grizzlies are favored by 4, huh?
Yes, sir. And I think there's good reason for that, baby. Yeah. I think let's give these teams some love. They're pretty interesting. They're going to last about as long in the postseason as a high schooler on prom night. So let's give them their flowers now. I love the Grizzlies to get that 8 seed plus 275 because they kind of took the small market team model from Utah and they're doing great with it. And they're better than their record because their second best player, Jaren Jackson III, Triple J, only played a handful of games, but he does look good. He does look ready. And we all know these play-ins are new. The Grizzlies are the most experienced play-in team. They blew it last year. They're not going to let it happen this year. Beat the Spurs tonight. Beat the Warriors Friday.
I gotta say, the play-in format, it's like it borrows a little bit like from the reconfigured NFL playoffs with expanded wild card, what they did last year in the bubble and the Major League Baseball playoffs. I love this. I think this is great. Like giving a 10 and a 9, because you're not you're not supersizing the playoffs to a degree where it's like, hey, where it's participation trophies and everyone has a chance. So much as it is just gives you an extra week of relevance and intrigue. And games like this tonight, there's a very good chance the Spurs should get beat up by Ja and the gang. But I'll watch. I mean, it's free basketball. Why do people argue with free sports, especially competitive free sports, where there's actually juice on the line?
And especially this season, the NBA bubble was such a terrible schedule for them. Now we have a bye week for the good teams. And given how the NBA season's gone, these teams deserve it so much. Rest up for a week. Be ready to entertain us Saturday. We're going to get such good basketball come Saturday because of these playing games.
All right. So summer's expensive and daddy's got bills to pay. So Spurs Grizzlies player props. Toe, what do you got?
Here we go. All right, I have DeRozan plus 25. Actually, let me just say this. I've picked the Spurs in this game. I like DeRozan's experience. I think that because everyone is so high on Memphis that they might just get slapped in the face. No one's going to see it. Kind of like last night. Everyone was kind of like, oh, LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, they're gonna score 40 points and win the game. And look what happened. But for me, I'm personally taking the Spurs. But so DeRozan 25 points, under 6 rebounds, total plus 10 points, plus 10 rebounds. And I got John Morant plus 20 points, 1 made 3. He's kind of on that like Giannis line of either hitting like 2 or 3 threes a game or 0. So I'll take him plus 1 and 5 assists. And Valanciunas 15 points and 10 rebounds. In my opinion, Valanciunas is their second best player right now, by the way.
I mean, Valanciunas, he's just like the NBA on the topic of guys who could help out the Celtics.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. True.
Right.
Super old school big.
Yeah, I mean, he became so cheap just because he's a big man. Like last year, he got when the Raptors won the title, he got traded at the deadline. They didn't give him a ring for it.
Yep.
Oh, what?
No, they voted against it. He's like the only guy in NBA history to be denied a ring. It's crazy.
What a hose job. My God, even the New England Patriots gave Josh Gordon a Super Bowl ring back in the Super Bowl 53 year a couple of years ago. And he had no business. Oh, come on.
He was there for 7 years, and they didn't give him a ring. It's absolutely crazy.
Oh, dick move.
Yeah.
The current. No, you know what? Wait, where does Toronto? Where did the Raptors play this year? Tampa?
Yeah, Tampa, Florida.
Tampa.
God, thank God. There's 0 chance they'll win. Thank God, because I can't handle Tampa winning anything else. My whole idea as to the way like Celtics fans have gotten sucked back in. Tell me if this is a proper analogy. I say that these Celtics are a Godfather 3 team, basing it off the famous Michael Corleone line, like, every time I try and get out, they pull me back in. And as someone astutely pointed out earlier today, like, yeah, that's all well and good, but in the end, Michael Corleone dies. So why bother?
It's fine, you know. All these super teams just sprouted up overnight. Brooklyn was like the Illuminati built that team. Philly was always a sleeping giant with the worst basketball people ever in charge. So Boston just 1 or 2 moves away from being right back in the mix. It's May. You're with friends, and go out and enjoy being in the postseason. I'm from Detroit. I will never be able to say that sentence again.
All right. Well, I got you guys here before we rock it out and let people return to their happy hours already in progress. Joel's Untitled Basketball Show with Joel and Toe will premiere here Friday at 4 p.m. all across the Fitzy GFY streams on the Twitch, the Twitter, the Book of Face, and, of course, the Tube of You. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Set a reminder. Join the guys. They'll be there for all of your questions in the chat box as well. I wanted to get your take real quick. So the Vegas sports books this week, guys, William Hill, Westgate started releasing their NFL over-unders. In addition to, upon the schedule release last week of all 18 weeks, 17 games of the 2021 NFL calendar, they started putting out way too early lines for every game all season long, as well as win totals. So, of course, everyone up here got their Pats panties in a bunch because the Patriots are only favored in 7 of their 17 games, favored in 7, dogs in 9, and they were pick 'em in 1. And I'll give a free lollipop to anyone who can guess on the surface which game they're only a pick 'em in.
At Miami.
Oh, good guess, Toe.
At New York Jets?
No, that's game number 2 of the year, and that's Zach Wilson's first home game, and it's against Bill Belichick, and he's going to have his beautiful Mormon face dragged across the Jet Life Stadium that day. So sorry, no caffeine boy. It's going to be a rough homecoming for you. No, week 9 against Carolina, actually.
Oh,
It
yeah.
could be an emotional game for Super Camp.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, he's going to really be focusing when he holds that Microsoft Surface Pro.
Will he make it that far? I was going to say, is he going to make it that far into the season?
No way. Mac Jones is lighting it up there. All the word out of New England is that they can't believe how good he's looking.
Well, I had someone tell me the other day, this was fantastic. Oh, I was talking to my buddy Reese Waters, who does midday down in Washington, D.C. on 980 The Team, and he was saying that he's actually super excited about Mac Jones going to the Patriots because, as it is, he already hates the Patriots, but now they drafted heavily from Alabama yet again, and might have an Alabama quarterback. So there's a double evil empire factor going on now with the Patriots because they're the loathed Patriots now with a lot of Nick Saban Roll Tide sauce on top. Like, You may never see a team. If Mac Jones starts and is successful, you may never see a team hated in professional sports more than the Patriots, which I personally embrace. I embrace the hate. I bathe in it. I love it. I put it on everything. Put it in my coffee. I sit on it at night. I sleep with it in bed. It's like a weighted blanket for me.
Yeah, and like with so many great players on that offense, isn't there a chance the quarterback and a good O-line made those guys? Like, I could see Miami really regretting that Jalen Waddle pick. Najee Harris in the first round of Pittsburgh, like Mac Jones was a value where you guys got him compared to where the other Alabama skills guys landed.
Yeah, no, I think there's a chance he's going to be terrific. I do, and all the early word, even though he was throwing passes against air at rookie minicamp, or that he looks great in the building. I think Cam's actually going to play the majority of the season. No one up this way wants to hear it. Nobody wants after last season's low lights, the COVID shortened season, 7-9. No one wants to hear it, but I think he's going to be better because he's going to have an extra year, more coaching. He knows his football career is on the line. He's a legit competitor. He's got enough physical skills left, and he's got a dog like Mac Jones, who's like a little bit. He's a little bit of a sociopath. He's a little bit Patrick Bateman, like in the zip-up jacket with the chainsaw, listening to Huey Lewis and American Psycho. Like everyone thinks he's a squeaky clean Letterman. No, he's a freak show.
Absolutely, because he probably has the same activities as Bateman. I think they have the same amount of money in their family lineage. He grew up as a tennis player. I mean, come on.
I know.
But, yeah, I mean, you could tell Cam's going to be the starter from the first day of free agency. Jonnu Smith. You've got Hunter Henry or another tight end with the HH. I mix up those two talented MFers. But
right. It's Hunter Henry, yeah. Hayden Hurst is down in Atlanta.
Yeah. Can't one of them just change? Take your wife's name for fantasy football players' sake.
All right, so the Pats, they were only favored in 7, but their Vegas win total is 9. So esteemed degenerates across the Fitzy GFY streams, if I could, and you still can't bet in Massachusetts, which makes no sense, I would bet the over on 9 wins this season.
I think it pushes, oddly enough. I think Buffalo is still going to be there in place for a year. I think they'll probably battle with Miami on the edge of the wild card contention. And, I think the roster's talented, and I think Belichick's the GOAT. But it's just going to be like tumult, like integrating all these new pieces over the first 4 games.
So who's your NFL team?
Minnesota.
Oh, you're a Viking. Okay.
And they're my favorite over in the NFL right there. I hate it.
So like Brett Favre, you love Vikes. Excellent.
Oh, I do. Oh, yeah. Brett Favre is my hero.
All right. So
he saved you from winning that pesky Super Bowl.
Exactly.
That was Adrian Peterson. I'll blame him for that.
No, Brett Favre did the crossbody pass. And granted, I know he'd gotten beat up with the Bounty Gate stuff, and his ankle looked like it was directed by Mel Gibson on the way to a cross that night. But holy shit, man. That was one of the 10 worst passes. Oh, and by the way, F you Brett Favre forever in perpetuity, because it was his stupid overtime pass in the NFC Championship pre-Super Bowl 42 that gave Eli Manning a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and we know what happened later.
True.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, so wait, why do you love the Minnesota over-under heading into the season? Because I think they're a better than average team. I love Dalvin Cook, and Justin Jefferson is just ridiculous.
He's amazing.
I think it's a crappy division. I think they're going to beat up on the Bears and the Lions, and I think they're right there with Green Bay. Plus, before last year, they had 14 draft picks. Maybe first year it'll be a little rocky. Now those guys have 2 off seasons, a full slate of games. Like, I think a good coach such as Mike Zimmer is really going to maximize those guys' contributions, and I'm going to take them to win the NFC North.
Oh, see, I think.
High praise.
So, all right,
no,
so
you're
taking them like what? 11? Like, all right, so 11 wins, Toe. Maybe is that going to get it done? Because if the Packers lose Aaron Rodgers, that's a massive regression. The Bears will be incrementally better depending on how Fields performs. I think the Lions, who I've heard mentioned on multiple podcasts and on different channels as one of the competitors for the 5 worst records in the league, are actually going to be like not great, but like a tough out every week, like an NFL-wide likable 6-11.
Exactly, they're what Carolina was last year, and
team.
if you got a good offensive line, you're going to be able to run your offense and like oh, there's no receivers, but we're probably going to have all pro level centers and left tackles for the next 5 years. So DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, those guys in like an offense that's going to be a hybrid of the Saints and Chargers.
Right.
I think our personnel is going to fit it pretty well.
And I one of the steals of the draft, like the football is won, in the trenches, and you're spending money in all the right places. And your tight end's great. The running backs are good. I think Amon-Ra. Listen, Jared Goff is dumber than a bag of rocks, filled with dead cats and mustard. But at Amon-Ra St. Brown guy, like I think he is one of the steals of the draft, and he's going to get open early and that could be like a discount Robert Woods type for him, which will make him comfortable. Again, keep the in. They're going to play tough because Oklahoma Charlie on the sideline. Yeah, let's go. We're going to break some kneecaps off.
But you know what? I think Dan Campbell's actually smart. The dude who's making the difference is the new GM, Brad Holmes. He came from the Rams where he drafted Robert Woods, and now he's going. Let's talk about teams that are going to be train wrecks. LA Rams.
Oh, don't you dare!
I'm telling you.
I'm going to make.
I'm telling you.
Really?
That team had the best defense in the NFL. Rather than support that core competency, they did everything they could to add like this glitzy hood ornament to the operations, Mr. Matthew Stafford. Meanwhile, losing 3 starters from that defense, an aging offensive line, an unproven running back. Everyone's penciling this team in as a Super Bowl contender, but I see a cap-heavy team where if you get one injury, it's a house of cards in what I think is the best division in the NFL.
What's more delicious than an arrogant, bloated football corpse? Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, so far we've got Patriots. You're busting at 9. Take the over on the wins for the Vikings and go under. What's the win total for the Rams? Do you have it up?
10.5.
Oh, way below.
And I like the Saints over as well.
What's their over under?
I believe it's 8.5. And especially them getting an upgrade at the quarterback position, I think it's going to bode well for them.
People don't realize like how bad Drew Brees was in the second half of that season last year. Like he was Jonah Hill, super bad in the second half of last season.
Drew Brees' ego cost that team the last 3 Super Bowls. That dude was washed in 2017. Every quarterback thinks they're Brady, and now Brees and Rivers and all these dudes are playing 5 years longer than they should. They've been washed, and the teams won't admit it. Jameis, he has turnovers. He played for Arians. Brady turns the ball over for Arians. Luck turns the ball over for Arians. Put Jameis in that offense. Surround him with Kamara. Have him throw 7-yard slants. It's still a team that can win the Super Bowl. I don't see anything that's changed.
That's a W right there for you, Joel. Let me give you 2 more that I like. The Titans and the Tennessons, 9.5. Going under on that
Love
one.
it.
I think the offensive regression on that team, plus the fact that they lost their entire secondary, is going to be too much for them to handle. They'll be competitive, sure, because Mike Vrabel has literally admitted to wanting to cut off his own dick to win a Super Bowl. But it's not going to be good enough to help them win the NFC South this fall. And an over that I like, the Browns are only 10. I mean, come on. How much time did you just spend with Mr. Joel Miles? You just went to the draft in the land. Like, they're believing out there. That's a good football team.
That's a good football team, and I think it's going to be really fun to watch the Browns and Ravens go neck and neck for that division. I mean, watching the Steelers hit the fan like we've been waiting for years, I think this is the season. Give me that 3-14 year in Pittsburgh. It's all I want.
No. I would eat it up. I would get that meat out from underneath my fingernails. It would be so delicious. Toe, do you have any last over-unders, way too early over-unders for the season that you like?
New York Giants. Well, what is their over under?
Okay, so right now the New York Giants are coming in at only 7. So the over under is minus 115 is 7.
Yeah, you can take the Eagles out of that mix, and then every team has an equal chance of winning that division.
Yeah,
if Daniel Jones turns in a C- or above, that offense will be pretty good.
They loaded up.
Yeah, no, they absolutely did. I just think with Galladay alone, and Kadarius Toney is an insane football player. It just all hinges on Daniel. It totally hinges on Daniel Jones. But if Saquon is back in form as well, they should be able to score their way to an NFC East or an NFC East title. Last one, Jags 6.5. Why do I want to bet that over, Joel?
I don't think you do. There were two guys who were once in Detroit guiding the development of a prized generational quarterback prospects, and they were Scott Linehan, Joe Lombardi, the same reasons Matthew Stafford was called Stat Padford and never really got on board until later in his career, are now in charge of Trevor Lawrence. Are you kidding me? It drives me insane. Those guys are so friggin' bad at their jobs. I can't believe they're in charge of Trevor.
It'll be a shame. Well, they're bringing in the savior, though, at tight end to help guide Trevor to a glorious season.
I mean, I think Urban Meyer is about to make the old ball coach Steve Spurrier regime in Washington look pretty good.
Yeah, I think they'll be a fun watch because I'm such a Trevor Lawrence fan. I like the ETN pick, but they already had the Washington kid at running back, so I felt like, and they got decent. Like I like Laviska Shenault. They need more defense than offense, but I put it this way: if there was a human equivalent of loving to watch the Steelers lose on the whole, it would be Urban Meyer. There's nothing more I would like this season more than to watch Urban Meyer lose time and time again.
I mean, unfortunately, they might be in the worst division for that. What a train wreck. They get to play Houston twice, and that's just unfortunate for your ambition.
Oh, wait, what was the Texans is 4.5? God, I'm banging the under on that.
Yeah, I think so. And at the bottom, I think the Bengals under 6.5. Passing on Penei Sewell after Joe Burrow tore every ligament is classic Cincinnati decision making.
And found no. Oh, and I'm with you. The Cardinals at 8. I'm banging the over on that one. I think they compete for the NFC West.
Absolutely.
There's lots of money to be made out there early. Like there's such early. We just need a friend in Vegas. Do you have a good friend in Vegas that you can trust that we could Venmo to make this early money?
I am flying out to Vegas in late August, so I'm happy to take all your tickets then.
All right, guys. All you have to do in the comment section, just let Joel know who you want to bet on. Give us your Venmo, and we'll take care of it. All right, that's right. And Toe's gonna write you a hand receipt, and then he'll mail it to you.
I can drive out. I just came from there Monday. I could drive out if you guys want.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you can. All right. So you can give it, you can Venmo it to Joel, or just mail it to Toe. They'll take it out there in late August, and you guys are good to go. Okay. So Friday, 4:00 here on the Fitzy socials across the wide world of the Townie News Network. It's going to be the Joel's Untitled. It's Jubs. Joel's Untitled Basketball Show with Joel Walkowski, the Big Walkowski, and Thomas Greer here on the stream. They'll be previewing post obviously the play-in games, previewing round 1 of the NBA playoffs. They'll be joining us here twice a week. Of course, there'll be a new Fitzy and Friends next week. We got some great guests lined up to talk Patriots football, some comedy pals of mine, and so much more. All right, guys, where can they follow you in the interim before the premiere of Jubs on Friday?
I am the Big Walkowski on Twitter and Joel Walkowski on Instagram. And no, I will not go to New Hampshire. Last time I was there, I bombed at the Shashkeen pub, and I had to listen to the guy who ran it hooked up in the next room. And no, I'm not going to New Hampshire.
If you have if you download the FanDuel app, you can literally drive across the state line, bang a Yui at one of the liquor store lots, and then come back. And you can. And doesn't that sound like such a pathetic thing to do? Like in high school, they used to always talk about buying fireworks and tats up there. But like, I don't want to have to drive 45 minutes just to place a bet. But at the same time, like, money's money, right? Toe, where can they find you at, my man?
Find me on Twitter at Sir Charles Greer. Joel doesn't really like that handle, but Sir Charles Greer. And find me on Instagram at Tomas.Greer.
His name isn't Charles. It implies his name is Charles.
Right. It implies my name is Fitzy as well. So at least that's what they call me. As long as you never call me late for supper, a bad house guest, or a Jets fan. All right. For Tomas Greer, a.k.a. The Toe, Joel Walkowski, a.k.a. The Big Walkowski, Jubs, Joel's Untitled Basketball Show premieres Friday at 4 p.m. here on the Fitzy GFY streams twice weekly I'll let you guys know when we have a Fitzy and Friends and so much more coming at you. Enjoy the games. Let's go Celtics. Should be a great one on Saturday night. And by a great one, I hope it's entertaining enough for me to fall asleep in the late third quarter when they're down by 27. As always, take care. Tip your waitresses at FitzyGFY. And like my dad always said, don't go anywhere you shouldn't go. Don't do anything you shouldn't do. And above all, don't be an asshole. Good night, everybody.